Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us on Sports4CLE. Plenty to talk about involving the Browns draft. Round one just a day away tomorrow. We will talk draft with Eddie McDonald from Dawg Pound Daily. We're going to start by talking Browns too. Some news concerning the Deshaun Watson civil suits that are against him. And let's take a look at this. So this is from Yahoo. The attorney representing the women suing Deshaun Watson appears to have a new legal strategy, and that is to use the fact that Watson no longer lives in Texas as a way to pressuring him into settling. They haven't said the strategy out loud, but as you go through and take a look at it, some of the points that Tony Busby filed a notice of his intention to question Watson 5 different days in early May. Watson has objected because of his preparations. Rusty Hardin, who is his attorney, said that you can't do that unilaterally without notifying the guy that you want to question. And so Watson offered multiple dates. The other thing is, the crux of it is gets there. Busby knows well what he's doing. He's trying to exert even more pressure on Watson to make the process as big of a pain as possible and make it much more easier in his mind to have Watson settle to alleviate the pressure. It's going on and on and on. With that, let's welcome in G. Bush. He's the host of the Barbershop 92.3 The Fan, Saturdays from 8 until noon. And G. Bush, when you look at that, again, you just have to let it play out. But it seems to be getting more and more likely like there's no resolution to this in the near term.
Oh no, this is a 2 to 3 year type joint right here. This ain't no just we'll just go ahead and plea bargain down and maybe we can get this over with during the season. I think Deshaun Watson's camp has made it very clear that we're not settling. Deshaun Watson is steadfast on the fact that he says he's done nothing wrong. He also has, I guess, the energy and the backing of 2 different, district jurors or whatever the case may be, that says, hey, we don't think there's enough to bring any sort of criminal activity here. So, when you don't have anything criminally, that's the most pressing thing for a lot of people. You ask yourself, am I going to jail? Do I have a possibility of touching down in jail? And if not, okay, well, I can deal with the civil stuff on the back end. Now, it's a good strategy by the lawyer of the 22 accusers because he wants to put that maximum pressure on Deshaun Watson. He wants to say, hey, look, if you go ahead and just cut the check, get this all behind you, you can go on with your life. The plaintiffs can go on with their life, and we can just have this thing all behind us, and we can go on like nothing ever happened. But when anybody has an accusation is serious as sexual misconduct, rape, or those type of things, no one. I don't blame Deshaun Watson if he feels he's innocent. I'm not gonna plea bargain now to something like that, and it's gonna stick with me forever. And I'm gonna say that I had to settle out of court. So for me, I think this was something that was always gonna happen. I don't think anything's gonna happen this year. And the judge in the case will probably make them get together and say, look, hey, this is part of discovery. If you want to, interview him, Deshaun Watson probably gave him a list of dates in between the mini camps, in between summer camp when camp starts. That I could fly down there. You could depose me forever, how long you want to depose me. But the goal of this whole theater thing is to continue to put pressure on Deshaun Watson and to keep some of this in the public eye, because civil suits are about, the spectacle. It's about, hey, we need to keep the public sentiment on our side, at least in the news, so we can know that people are behind us. And there's a lot of people that are on the accuser sides in terms of believing them and what the misconduct is. So this is just, basically what the lawyer was going to do. But I don't think anything will come of it. I think you won't see anything till next year, maybe 2 years down the line.
And Vegas odds have the Browns keep going closer and closer. The odds are better as far as them winning the Super Bowl, and especially the last 3 days, it's gone from plus 2,000 to plus 1,400. So the Browns now the third most likely in the AFC to be in the Super Bowl. And again, I think that's an indication. Vegas is saying Deshaun Watson's going to be the quarterback for most, if not all, of the games.
Yeah, I don't understand. I've always been on the side of I've never quite understood how people came to the conclusion that was an automatic suspension. To me, it was always been like, hey, if I'm Garrett Bush and I go to my job and they say, Garrett Bush, you stole a computer. I say, I ain't steal no computer. Then we go to court and the grand jury says, no, he didn't steal a computer. He's good. So I go back to work and show up to work and I say, all right, I'm ready to clock in. And my boss says, not so fast. We're going to have to suspend you without pay for 2 weeks. And I say, for what? Well, you stole that computer, remember? I said, no. Someone said I stole the computer, but I went to court and the computer, they said I didn't steal it. There's video evidence of that. So one of those things that I look at all the time is I always tell myself, I say, when you're looking at it and you're looking at the situation, is this. You got to understand that you got to have some sort of proof. And I think that it's going to be very difficult to put a suspension on Deshaun Watson in a situation when he doesn't have any charges against him. And so, it's up to someone to put that out and have a burden of proof on that. So I think he's going to wait it out. And I don't think there'll be a lengthy suspension this year like many people think.
So let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the Browns quarterback situation.
Yeah, hello. This is Tim Hennings from West Palm Beach, Florida. Big Browns fan. I'm 62. I'm watching all the stuff on YouTube all the time about Baker Mayfield and the new quarterback. And I want to know what's wrong with the general manager and the owner. Why couldn't they have Mr. Watson and Baker Mayfield have a shootout and see who's the better quarterback? I think this would make a lot of sense instead of getting rid of Baker, because I think the Browns are making a big mistake. Baker was hurt. Yeah, Baker is a problem because you look at all his college stuff. They pumped him up like he's a rock star. But I think Baker Mayfield might be the thorn in the Cleveland Browns' side that they should have really considered. Take that in consideration. Thank you.
All right, as always, appreciate all the voicemails. If you're talking strictly on the field quarterback play, I don't know many people that are taking Baker Mayfield over Deshaun Watson.
I think maybe that number and list is down to maybe Baker's immediate friends and family. If you were at the wedding, I think you may, put your name on the line for Baker, but hey, it's the thing. They're not going to have him do a shootout or some sort of competition because they already know he's better. There's a mountain of film evidence to prove that. His win-loss record proves it. Even if you look at his numbers, it proves it. And even if you go a little bit different, you can just look at the eye test and just forget about a lot of the other different stuff. I think when you ask the question, why don't they just go ahead and do a situation where it's, see who the best man comes out on top? I think you can ask the same way, well, why doesn't Jordan Love just get a shot to prove he's better than Aaron Rodgers? Well, because Aaron Rodgers is better. Tom Brady's not in the quarterback competition, and Russell Wilson's not going to come to Denver and have to prove that he's not the same Russell Wilson in Seattle. They already know what they got, and I think Baker totally understands that he's going to go to another place. He needs to get another start. I just think sometimes when you hear these kind of things, I think it's a product of what we overvalued and we really pushed that Baker was better than a lot of people. We heard that he was better than Garoppolo, and he was at one point in time he was kind of on the same playing field as Matt Stafford. And we in Cleveland, we really did believe, a lot of people believed he was a top 10 quarterback trending as one of those guys. To me, I just think we were kind of disillusioned with that, but there's no bones about it. Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback, and you'll see it. You might not think so yet, but you'll see it as the season wears on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree wholeheartedly. Let's take a look at Brown's starting lineup. This is kind of interesting. Pro Football Focus has come out with this. And, G. Bush, when you look at this, what areas do you think, we got some work to do?
Wow. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, one of the areas that you look at as far as what you need to do is the D tackle position, right? We'll talk about that at length. Jordan Elliott is a guy that they spent a third-round pick on. Taven Bryan is a guy they brought in free agency. I like him a little bit. I like what he can add to it. I like that he's nasty a little bit. But I think that those two positions, is the defensive tackle position and the wide receiver position, are the ones that we need to get squared away. And I've been waffling back and forth on which one of those positions we need most, which one is most impactful. To me, I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals model. The Cincinnati Bengals model is, look, I don't know who you really got on defense. I remember Sam Hubbard. I remember Henderson. I remember a couple of guys they had. I can't tell you who the Cincinnati Bengals had a linebacker, but all I know is they had 3 great receivers. And I'll tell you, they had a quarterback, and they had Joe Mixon. And when you have 3 great receivers, Joe Mixon, and of course, they didn't even have a really good offensive line. I think Larry Ogunjobi was there last year, and we gave up on Larry Ogunjobi. He went to Cincinnati, had a decent year. But I'm going with the receiver. If the Cleveland Browns can get a receiver, if they can get a guy that stretches the field, Deshaun Watson is already going to make these guys better. He's already going to make those guys special. And when you look at it, I think one of the things that we got to really take in consideration is you got the quarterback now. Now let's go ahead, and you can't stop teams anyway. You can't stop. It's hard to stop the top-notch teams from scoring. Let's go ahead and say, let's put it on the onus on other teams to say, how do you stop Cleveland? How do you go about stopping the Browns? Because they got 2 of everything, 2 backs, 2 good receivers, 2 good tight ends, the best offensive line in the AFC, and a quarterback that can run and pass. How do you stop that? So I would go, the biggest need for me is wide receiver.
G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we will continue to talk a little bit about the draft coming up. Round 1 tomorrow. Browns likely to get involved Friday on round 2. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with G. Bush. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one with a couple of guys who are available. Which one would you pick in the draft?
Hi, Dave. This is Jerry. The last question before the draft. Terrion Burks versus Terrion Winfrey at number 44, if both are available. Which would have the most impact? Thank you. Bye.
All right, G. Bush, Treylon Burks, Terrion Winfrey, wide receiver, D tackle. I think I know which one you're going with. Who you going with if they're there at 44?
Hey, listen, you've already read the tea leaves. I kind of gave it away in the last segment. I'm going to have to go with Burks. Definitely going to have to go with Burks. He's a big body guy that he didn't run the fastest 40 in the world, but I do believe that he has great football speed. He's one of those guys, when he puts his pads on, he seems like a dude that never gets caught from behind. He never quite gets caught. He runs away from people, and he has a body almost like of a tight end. And when you have Deshaun Watson and Terrion Winfrey, no doubt, I would not be upset if the Browns came away in this draft at 44 with Terrion Winfrey. However, I'm just going to say this. When you look at the defensive tackles and defensive ends and edge rushers that got picked last year in the 2021 draft, there was only one rookie who had over 4 sacks in terms of a defensive lineman. That's from the end position as well as the defensive tackle position. So, and I think it was the kid from Miami. He had 8.5 sacks. He actually went to school in Miami. His name escapes me right now, but he had 8.5 sacks last year. So when you talk about a production, you really can't count on, a defensive tackle just coming in being a dominant guy. And if you look at it over the last 20 or 30 years, defensive tackle is almost one of the hardest positions to actually forecast, to actually pick, and to say, hey, this guy's going to be an elite rusher. He's going to play the pass and the run. And so when I even look at it a little bit, I even look at, some of the great defensive tackles like Aaron Donald. We knew Aaron Donald was good, but we couldn't have suggested he was that good. So it's hard to project defensive tackles as it is. Receivers a little more difficult, but one thing that you can project is when you have a great quarterback, you always have a receiver that has 1,100, 1,200 yards. Now you already know that you got a guy like Amari Cooper on the other end that's going to be solid, competent, run crisp routes, and now you got a guy who's going to be getting single. You can't, you're not going to double cover a rookie. Now you got an opportunity where this guy can really use his skill set. Plus a good running game, nice play action game, and a mobile quarterback. I think this offense is ripe for a rookie to come in and get you 800, 900 yards and upwards above 6, 7 touchdowns as well. We're playing with this type of team.
Yeah, all makes sense. All right, last-minute trade scenarios. As you sit here and you look at it, I don't think it's likely that the Browns go back into the first round. I think it's too costly. I don't think they have what teams would want to give up one of those. But moving up into the second round, what do you think of that, or moving back?
I think that the Cleveland Browns will be ultra aggressive moving up in the second round. If you take a look at what they've done before, they did that with Greedy Williams, right? They went up and Greedy was there, and they thought he was a guy that could really help them out, especially in the back end. They went and did it. JOK was another guy that was there, and they went and got JOK as well as Newsome in the first round. So Andrew Berry has done some things where there's been guys on the board that have been there that he didn't think should have been hanging around. And I think that if the Browns at 2 specific positions, and then we watch out, obviously, there's one for the defensive tackles, there's another one for the receivers, but I also think this as well. If they can see a guy that happens to be an edge rusher, not necessarily even a defensive tackle, if it's an edge rusher, I think that if they got a guy highly touted on the board, they'll package some stuff up and get up there and definitely select somebody upwards prior to 44. So the best thing that any Browns fans can do today is, yes, your team does not have a first-round pick, but what you want to be doing is casually watching in the 20s, 21, 22, 23. When you get back to the 25s and the 26, watch the board. watch the best availables, and then look at those guys, how those guys are slotted, and you're going to be able to find and look and see a lot of different people that may be still there that you can project at 44 to say, hey, Andrew Berry, let's go ahead and package up some stuff and move up and possibly be able to get, the guy that they want at 3 positions: wide receiver, defensive end, defensive tackle.
All right, so according to Bleacher Report, every team's biggest need entering the NFL draft, and you will not disagree with this one, G. Bush, they say it's wide receiver for the Browns. And they say class has plenty of mid-round options, which I think they're saying more second, third-round options. They refer to Sky Moore, Khalil Shaker, Calvin Austin, smaller receivers that would benefit the Browns. Off the line of scrimmage, ideal on third downs, red zone plays where the ball will be coming out of Deshaun Watson's hands quickly, which kind of plays into why the Browns are looking at those kind of guys at wide receiver.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit just a second ago. If you have the currency, which is, you have the currency, which is, hey, I got a top 5 quarterback. When you get a top 5 quarterback, you're going to be able to do and run your offense more effectively. There's a lot of things that Kevin Stefanski wants to do in this offense that he wasn't able to do. A, because we didn't have the most mobile of quarterbacks. B, there wasn't a lot of accuracy when those plays were called. And C, I don't think Kevin Stefanski felt comfortable in calling certain plays in downs and distances. Now you got an opportunity where we can see a lot more things in the offense. We saw Anthony Schwartz last year running regular routes and doing certain things. But guess what? I think he's going to see a lot more of what he did in Auburn. Jet motion, different things, misdirection, because now you have a mobile quarterback that if you over pursue, he could keep that and take it, and he could go, and backdoor you. If you look at it, you can see definitely a lot more 2 backs with Kareem Hunt. Nick Chubb, you can see that into the mix because now the screen game is there. You can definitely you don't have to max protect as much if you want to do shot plays, because guess what? You got a quarterback that can extend plays, shuffle in the pocket, keep his shoulders square, and go downfield. So there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to be better at automatically by the quarterback. And if you can get guys that have skill sets, Sky Moore, guys that are Traylon Burks, guys that are big red zone targets, now they don't have to be complete receivers. They can just do things, and you can spot shadow them, and you can feature them in special downs or distances. Hey, we want to do a reverse. Hey, we want to do a fade here. We want to do a trick play here. Those are the things that you can really, watch and find out how the Browns are going to allocate and use some of these resources. But I totally agree. I think the Browns need to be shooting for a team that is the most dynamic offense, especially that Kansas City, in my opinion, is taking a step back. It's going to take a little bit of time for Russell Wilson in Denver. And you're looking at across the board, the Browns, to me, still top 5 quarterback, best running back in the game, best running backs in the tandem in the game. And in terms of the offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. So I think that they have all the tools. And I think if you add one more receiver, whether that's in free agency or in the draft, I think the Browns set themselves aside as the best offense in the AFC.
I'm with you. G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reasons from Kevin Stefanski and the season coming up. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns. Time to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the upcoming season and Kevin Stefanski.
Later this year, my number one entertainment fix, the Cleveland Browns. up to this year has been filled with many highs and lows of emotion. But this year, the owner has put out the money. So far, it looks like the right players have been signed. Now it's time for the leader of it all, Coach Stefanski, to mold it all together starting today, to make the Browns a NFL franchise we, the Browns fans, are proud and excited about. And hopefully this leads us to a destination where we as Brown fans have not experienced before, the Super Bowl. Kevin Stefanski is definitely on the hot seat.
All right, Ron Byer, a frequent voicemailer, and as always, we appreciate him. G. Bush, if you're talking about the hot seat as he has to win, I don't know about that. I think the Browns ownership finally likes some stability, but I think Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry realize they need to win.
I think one of the main reasons that the Browns went out and made a quarterback change was the fact that they believed in Kevin Stefanski and what his abilities were. They felt they were not good enough at the quarterback position to showcase his play calling ability, his concepts, his combinations, and they just really simply felt, hey, we need to do something because, right, wrong, or indifferent, a lot of people feel like the caller. A lot of people were talking about Kevin Stefanski's playbook, his play calling, his scripting of his plays, not making adjustments. So right or wrong, the perception out there was that not only Baker Mayfield, wasn't performing up to snuff. People started to say, was 2020 a fool's gold with Kevin Stefanski? I mean, did he lose the locker room a little bit? Does he have to give up the play calling? All of those different things are something that people started to talk about. But I think that in this offseason, Andrew Berry, ownership said, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out here. We're going to make sure that he gets the level of quarterback play and the weapons to showcase what he was and to show that he was a coach of the year. He wasn't a coach of the year by any sort of fluke. And I think what people will see is just the difference at quarterback will make. Quarterbacks make you look better than you are, but they can also make you look worse than you are. Because when we don't know, we don't understand is there's a deep route, there's a short route, there's an intermediate route, there's a check down route on every single play. You could go deep on every single play, right? So there's things that are happening, and it looks crazy when quarterback gets sacked or the quarterback has a tip pass or he doesn't audible into something because he knows he can't block a blitzer coming off the edge. All of those things are incumbent on a quarterback that can make you look worse than you are. So I think Kevin Stefanski, we talk about chip on the shoulder with Baker. I think Kevin Stefanski has already seemed a little more confident. He's talked more about, hey, we're going to do things Deshaun Watson likes. I think he's already starting to feel like he's in a much better position. And I think when you see the offense, you'll say, wow, where was this at before? Well, he has the ingredients that he needs to make a good dish. And every cook needs that to make a five-star dish. You need five-star ingredients.
Yeah, and we've often said, this will be the best line that blocks for Deshaun Watson. This will be the best quarterback that Kevin Stefanski has the ability to call plays for. And I'm sure he's excited about that. Let's take a look at Myles Garrett's Instagram. Always fun to see what Myles is up to. And so he posted this. Only 2 defensive players have gone number 1 overall in the last 15 drafts. It's Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. And you see at Clowney, 90, what's good? So he has both very subtly here and very overtly last week campaigning to get his bookend defensive end back for the Browns.
If you're listening, Jadeveon Clowney, the assistant general manager himself, G. Bush, I will put in a good word with Andrew Berry. We can get you a meal card. You want a gas card or something? We know you got a lot of cars. You might gas is $4 or $5 now. We could give you something on the back end, but we need you to come on back, big fella. I tell you what. See, Myles Garrett is very smart. He understands that if he can get him back, that means the Browns have draft capital due to other things. Now he can worry about the receivers. Now he can just worry about the other things that we need to plug in, the gaps. But getting Jadeveon Clowney back really solidifies the Browns in my estimation as the team to beat. Because a lot of other teams lost. Tyreek Hill, you lose Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals now, and I'm going to be the first one to say it. Did the Cincinnati Bengals overachieve a little bit last year? Yes, they did. You look at Lamar Jackson. This is the first time people are actually kind of questioning whether the Lamar Jackson, does he need to improve a little bit? Did the injuries? Does he run a little bit too much? But you look at what's happening. The Steelers, they're trying to find a quarterback now for once, for like we were trying to find. So my thing is, if you can solidify 2 bookend rushers like we had last year, I think you can then concentrate on, hey, let's find 1 defensive tackle, let's rotate some defensive tackles, and let's figure out how we get the offense and the receiver core better. But for me, they've already brought back the secondary, the whole secondary, including Rodney Harrison. So JOK is now back in his second year, getting better. Taki is quietly just always a solid player. Quietly, he just keeps plugging along. And so you got everything that you're looking for. All we got to do is plug in some defensive tackles, because Jadeveon Clowney on that other end makes a much better defensive line. And I think that makes the Browns another top 10, top 5 type defense.
Yeah, we're going to give him some parking near the building so he doesn't have to walk.
Yeah.
We'll save on the legs, too. All right.
Yeah, right over there, too.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look. This is very interesting. Average draft age for NFL's executives, and this goes from 2017 until 2021. And that top one that drafts the really, really young guys by a whole lot is Andrew Berry. And you look down, John Dorsey is like the 5th or 6th oldest in his regime with the Browns. But that graphically shows you what we have kind of said about the guardrails. And the reason that makes sense is when you're drafting guys, especially in the first round, that 5th year, they're under 30. They're like Denzel Ward, 26, 27. You're going to give them 5 years. So the second contract takes you up to 30 that's when you start worrying about NFL players. But that's the reason for it, and that graphically shows you how young the guys that Andrew Berry profiles are.
They did a great job. Not only Denzel Ward, David Njoku, really young guy. Newsome is a really young guy. Obviously, some of those guys are dudes that have made it to their second contract. David Njoku got franchise tag, but he said one thing that is very important. Yes, the Cleveland Browns are a team that are moving up, and there is a team that is competing for a Super Bowl. So the draft does wane a little bit as far as where your draft order is, how important is it. You do need to continue to find people. But the thing he said is, hey, you need to get guys under asset for cheap for long periods of time. So if you can get a guy and get him to your second contract, look how many years of services you got from him if you're drafting guys that are 20 and 21. By the time they get to the second contract, you've already exhausted the best years of their career, especially when you're dealing with a sport like the NFL. So it's imperative to get those guys. If you hit on a guy, extend those guys. And I think if you look at it, the Cleveland Browns are now starting to do that. Prior to this, Cleveland Browns never extended people because they were having bust. The Barkevious Mingos of the world, the Cam Irvings, the Danny Sheltons of the world, Johnny Manziel's, Trent Richardson's. Those guys were already almost out of the league in 2-3 years, let alone getting the first contract. But look what they've done so far. You've got Joe Bitonio, who's on a couple of years, his second deal. You look at Myles Garrett is on his second deal. Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb is another guy. So you see that it's important to not only identify who you want, but you also have to develop those guys and sign them to the next year deals and to the second contract. So it's imperative to have guys that are younger on your roster and you have them under asset for those 5 years, especially if you drafted them in the first round. Because the first round, remember, you get 5 years in the option, either on the team option or the player option. Second round, you're only going to get 4 years.
And that fifth year is huge. That option year, a lot of times it's guys coming into their prime. G. Bush and I are going to step aside, take one more time out. Other side of the break, we'll look a little bit about Baker Mayfield and his market. We'll also dive into the draft a little deeper. Sports4CLE, you'll be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
We continue talking Browns football, NFL football, the draft tomorrow, round one. So Panthers general manager Scott Fitterer met with the media. He was asked about a veteran quarterback versus drafting a quarterback with the idea of Baker Mayfield being out there. Here's the Panthers general manager.
We want to stabilize the quarterback position. We need consistent play out of that. And I sat down with Sam yesterday and just kind of we talked about everything. Like, we need to help him out as well. We need to help him out with the offensive line. I think we've done a good job, keeping DJ here and, with McCaffrey and surrounding him with the talent where he doesn't feel like he has to make every play. But we do have to protect him. But in our conversation, I said, hey, listen, we are going to add to this group. Through this weekend, there's a pretty good chance we could add to this group. And it's open competition. It's his spot right now, but whoever can take this spot and run with it, we're going to do that. And so he was good with that. We're on the same page, and we know we need to stabilize that position, but we're looking forward to adding to it. It's great to go with a young guy. I mean, you want to draft one, develop them, and have them be your own. There's a cost effectiveness that is involved with that. And you also, why are some quarterbacks available that are out on the market? You have to ask yourself that. So, obviously, every time you draft a quarterback, ideally you want them through the draft, but however we get them, whatever it takes to get them in the door here, once we get them, we'll work with them and develop them, and that's just kind of the process that we'll go about.
And G. Bush, again, that's Panthers general manager. Sam is Sam Darnold, the quarterback they have there. That is a spot that Baker Mayfield could end up, is Carolina.
Yeah, first of all, Scott, no disrespect, but that button-up, I don't know about the button-up. That was a pickup. That's a picnic button-up right there, brother. I don't know if I can rock with that, but we digress on that. What is Sam Darnold going to say? I mean, Sam Darnold is on his second team. He didn't really take the reins and run with it last year. Sometimes it confuses me why everyone just kind of walks on eggshells when it comes to quarterbacks, especially the quarterbacks that have been drafted highly who have not lived up to expectations. Sam Darnold should be happy that he has an opportunity to still continue to compete for that starting job. I mean, I don't think they owed him anything. If they would have said, hey, we're going to draft a running back and drafted two quarterbacks and brought in Baker, he shouldn't have nothing to say about it. He should just go out there and work, see what he can do, and put his best foot forward. I think when you look at the Panthers, they need to do a little bit of everything. Until you have a quarterback in this league, you got to turn over every stone. I would draft a quarterback. I'd bring Baker in and see if the Browns would take a little something off that price. And I still keep Sam Darnold. You know why? Because until you figure out what you got, it doesn't matter if you got Christian McCaffrey. It doesn't matter if, what offensive line you got. Because to be honest with you, I always say this. Who is Joe Burrow's offensive lineman? Who's his magical all-pro center guard tackles and all pros up front? He doesn't have any guys like that. He doesn't have the second coming of the Hogs. That's not it. So you need to figure out whether or not you got a quarterback, and to do that, if it takes to get in a quarterback in a draft, so be it. You got to figure it out. And I think he did the right thing in telling Sam Darnold, hey, win, lose, or draw, we're going to bring some people in.
All right, Baker Mayfield was in Oklahoma with the unveiling of his Heisman Trophy statue for the Sooners. Here's Mayfield talking about his approach to this offseason.
I think obviously there's a lot of ups and downs. That's just life. Everybody at the next level and throughout their careers, they hit a low point, and it's not about that low point. It's how you handle it. I've said that. It's never the actual adversity or the challenge. It's what you do with it. It's how you set your mind to it. And it's a familiar. Obviously, I haven't been in this situation before specifically, but it's familiar territory when it comes to mindset and getting back to the basics and realizing what I need to do. And right now, I can control getting healthy, working, and giving everything I have to wherever my next home is.
And G. Bush sounds like he's approaching it the right way. So good for Baker.
Love it right there. He's on messaging. That's exactly what he's supposed to sound like. He should have sounded like that a couple weeks ago when he was on that podcast, but he's definitely on messaging. He understands that, listen, this is an opportunity for me to sit back, reevaluate where I went wrong, just, work on my fundamentals, get to where I need to go, and just continue to take the small baby steps. If he continues to talk like that and continues to look like, hey, I'm being mature about the situation, it's all about controlling the things I can control, and in my next opportunity, learning from what went bad here and capitalizing on that. If he can do that, and I always tell people, I might not be the biggest Baker Mayfield fan as far as in terms of his skill set, but in America, this is what makes America great. You get an opportunity to learn from your mistakes. If you make one mistake, it doesn't mean the end of your life, bro. You can come back from it. You can learn. You can still come back and be better than you were and get a second chance to rehabilitate yourself. And so that's the cool thing about America, and that's the great thing about sports in general. You're not always going to win. You're not always going to be at the top of the mountain. It's about how you handle that and come back from that and seeing the growth in what you can do moving forward. So, at the end of the day, like I always will say, Baker gave the city some good times. I'm never going to take that away from him. I wish him nothing but the best of luck, and moving forward, that he gets his career back on track.
All right, before I let you go, give me a couple, 3 names. If Andrew Berry is able to get these 3 guys with what the Browns have and where they may be drafting, you're going to say, man, he did it again. He came out with what we wanted him to.
If he comes out with Pickens, I'm going to be like, yo, I don't know how you got him. Where did he fall to? Another person that I think that if you come away with, I think for some reason, Chris Olave is going to drop. I just feel like he's a guy that's going to drop to the second round. I think Jamison Williams will go in the first round. I think a lot of those other guys will go in the first round. If Olave is there and he's still available, I take him and I run away with it. And if there's one more guy, and I'll take it, if Treylon Burks is there, because I think that he slipped a little bit because he did not run as fast as 40. He didn't test as well as he looks on the field. If he's there as well, and the Browns are able to get any one of those 3 receivers, I'm ecstatic, because I feel that those guys have elite playmaking ability and can do it at the highest level. I think that'll make a big impact on the team and on the season. And I think they could be one of those guys that has a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase type year. Might not be as explosive, might not have as many yards, but the impact could be there in terms of what they mean for the squad.
G. Bush, as always, man, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Appreciate you, man. Anytime.
All right, G. Bush, make sure you listen to him. 92.3 The Fan. He's the host of The Barbershop, 8 until noon on 92.3 The Fan on Saturdays. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we continue talking Browns with Eddie McDonald of Dog Pound Daily. We head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason with some trade options. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. Time to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason with some trade ideas for Baker Mayfield.
Hey, Dave. Great show as always. Frank from Cleveland. I was just wondering, there's a lot of teams that would love to have Baker but don't want to pay. But how could the Browns anyway possibly say, like, give us a 7th rounder and they pay the full salary? Give us a 6th rounder, we'll eat $3 million of it. Give us a 5th round, we'll get $6 million of it. On and on and on. And so, we can't just give the guy away. And number 2 is I'm still pulling for you to get that job as an analyst to replace Doug Deacon. And if you do, I'm going to take you out for some drinks. Thank you, Dave.
As always, appreciate the voicemails. And Nathan Zagura is the replacement for Doug Deacon. Was announced today, and congratulations to him. Jared Cherry is the new sideline reporter. Both will do a nice job. All right, let's welcome in Eddie McDonald from Dog Pound Daily. Eddie, the caller was getting at kind of the negotiation that goes on between general managers that prior to pulling any trade off. Those are the type of things that Andrew Berry has probably been doing ad nauseum leading up to the draft.
Oh, absolutely. And first off, shout out to Nathan Zagura, one of my favorite people that covers the Browns. Extremely happy for him. He's going to do great. Can't wait to hear that this fall. But as for Baker, I believe the caller said 7th round pick, and the team eats all the salary of his. That'd be awesome. We have to get something for him, obviously. I think we are going to have to eat some sort of money in that deal, whether it's $3 million. $6 million. They're essentially going to buy a draft pick, is what I was reading the other day correctly. So that could come as soon as tomorrow. I don't see it happening until Friday or Saturday, depending on how the draft board falls. Teams like the Panthers and Seahawks, they've been rumored and linked to Baker. Could be another team out there. I don't know. But those two teams have some decisions to make tomorrow night. The Panthers pick 6th, the Seahawks pick 9th. It's been rumored that the Seahawks are going to go down in the first round. Some teams are going to trade up. So if that's the case, we'll see. But I think we're going to have to eat somewhere between $6 and maybe $9 million. But either way, I hope Baker goes somewhere where he can, start over and succeed.
And the other thing of it is now the Panthers don't have another pick. They pick 6 and then they don't pick until like the 4th round. So they may trade back. And again, those teams are kind of waiting to see what they do in terms of a young quarterback if they want to take Baker Mayfield on for a season. Friday, and it may not happen during the draft. And again, Andrew Berry's going to be patient. There's a timing element. Right now isn't the right time, and people are kind of thinking that the Browns may release him. I just don't see that happening. I really don't.
No, they're definitely not going to release him. They're not going to eat $18 million in cap space, $19 million, whatever the exact number is, for someone to not play on the team this year. Another thing with this is what these teams are going to have to evaluate is are any of these rookie quarterbacks coming into the NFL this year better than Baker Mayfield right now? I don't think either of them are. Now there's 4, 5, 6 different guys that you can take. There's probably 2 or 3 first rounders if teams really wanted that. But I don't think either one of those guys are better than Baker Mayfield currently. So that's another thing that GMs are going to have to think of. Hey, this is basically our first round pick in Baker Mayfield. So let's make it work and make him a first round pick.
Yeah, and again, it'll play itself out over the next few weeks. All right, you wrote an article, and it's very timely, very interesting, just based on some of the talent that is available in this draft. Andrew Berry willing to take a risk on injured players. There's Ajabo, Jameson Williams, John Mechie. Take us through that and kind of what your thoughts are with that.
So we never get anything from Andrew Berry. You know, it's just typical GM talk. It's just vague, close to the chest, close to the vest, however you want to say. You can say both of those things. I use chest in the article, and someone pointed out that I could use both. I knew that. I chose chest. But yeah, we don't get that. But the fact that he said something that he would consider taking a risk on some of these injured players or guys coming off injury. But there's a lot of things that go into that process. And he mentioned that in his press conference last week. The severity of the injury, the amount of time it's going to take for that player to recover. Is he going to be able to play this season? If so, when? Is he going to have to essentially be a medically redshirted freshman like they do in college? Obviously, they'd have to pay him still. But yeah, Ajabo would be great. But his injury is the Achilles injury, which is way more serious than Williams and Mechie coming off ACL tears. But if you did that, you get high risk, high reward because of the Achilles. The ACLs, as you know, players come back from those faster than ever now. When I was growing up, watching football, if you got an ACL tear, your career was almost borderline over, depending on who you were. And now it's like, hey, you guys are out 9 to 12 months. Oh, I'm back in 7, and I feel great, and I'm going to go do my thing. So someone like Jameson Williams, I don't think he's fallen outside of the first round, but if he does somehow fall to 44, I would love that. John Mechie, he's a guy that the Browns could take at 44, but they could also find him at 78, I think, depending on how the draft falls and all that. But yeah, the fact that Andrew Berry is willing to do that is take a risk on these injured guys, and I think that's great, and it shows that he's really more of a student of the game than what we think. And the fact that he gave us that little nugget, a very vague little nugget about it, but a nugget nonetheless. We don't get that often from him. Like I said, just GM talk. We'll consider all options. Everything is up for debate. So here we are here. But yeah, I love any one of those 3 players that we can get them at 44.
Yeah, my thought would be a lot of those big-time injured guys with high upside, back half of that first round, somebody that is an established, really good team will take a chance on because you get that 5th year, so that it doesn't hurt as much if they miss the entire first season because you got them locked in potentially for 4 more years. Just the thought that I have, that's late in the first round. Those are values that, really good GMs usually take advantage of.
Absolutely. And last year, Greg Newsome was a later round first round pick, and he was 26 overall. And now we'll have him for the next hopefully 4 years and hopefully beyond that. But that's a huge thing, and we don't have that luxury this year of having that first round pick. But in a sense, we do because Deshaun Watson has the 5-year deal. So that's essentially like your first round pick, but we already know what he can do. But yeah, that's tremendous value. And I don't know if Jameson Williams gets outside of the top 20. I think someone takes him inside the top 20, even with his injury.
Yeah, I'm with you. That they considered him a potential number 1 overall pick if he didn't get hurt. So, Eddie McDonald and I from Dog Pound Daily going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, turn our attention to the draft, take a look at a mock draft and some value picks that could be around. Sports4CLE, we'll be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Eddie McDonald from Dog Pound Daily. We're going to take a look at Josh Edwards' mock draft, CBSSports.com. This one's from today. At 44, Eddie, he has the Browns taking defensive tackle Travis Jones from UConn. And we've talked about him. I don't know that he makes it all the way there, but if he does, I think Andrew Berry would be thrilled to run the card up and hand it in.
Comes on this show now, and I'm very high on him. I wrote about him. I actually have another article that comes out right after the show after the show goes off the air. It comes out at 5. I did not schedule that on purpose, but it just worked out that way. But he's in there. I just did a little, not even sort of a mock draft, like ideal picks for 44, 78, 99. Should we stay there? And he was my pick at 78, only because I did a mock draft the other night on my computer, and somehow he was there at 78. And I was like, wow, if he's there at 78, that's incredible. And the Browns seem to, like you just said, for 44, run up to that podium and say, here's my card here, draft him, put him in my clubhouse now. I would love that. But at 44, I don't think that's a reach on him at all. Some people will have him as a late second rounder, early third rounder, so that fits for that. But I would absolutely love that. He would be a player that could turn into an every down tackle, and that's something that the Browns need, especially, he'll be crucial in stopping the run the first 2 down. And then he is a guy that gets pressure to get, guys like Myles Garrett and hopefully Jadeveon Clowney loose in the lanes and get to that quarterback. I would love this at 44. I would love it even more at 78.
All right, at 78, Josh Edwards has a defensive edge rusher. So Josh Paschal, and let's take a look. This is an edge rusher from Kentucky, and Paschal is a guy that just kind of gets after it. And again, you kind of see him getting around the edge. SEC was very, very productive. What do you see when you look at Paschal? What do you like about him?
I just see another guy that, just like Jones, has a motor that just keeps going. He has a relentless work ethic to get to the quarterback. He gets to the quarterback often and brings them down. He is also able to contain the quarterback. But he just on that highlight right there, he just bang right there, right in your lap of the quarterback, right as soon as that ball is snapped to him. He has athleticism, as you see on this run right here. He's running it back all the way for a touchdown or almost a touchdown. No, this was almost a touchdown. But yeah, he is just an explosive player. At 78, I think that's tremendous value for him, and especially if you can pair him up with Myles Garrett. And if you get Jadeveon Clowney back, you can move Clowney inside on some downs to the defensive tackle position. And I think that the 3 of those guys would be scary for anyone. And his pure athleticism is just amazing to watch. And I'll be happy if we take him there too.
At 99, he had Wayndale Robinson, wide receiver from Kentucky. So 2 Wildcats. And your cat's going to make an appearance, which is just fine. We need all of them.
Again, yes.
Yeah, that's all right. What do you think of Robinson?
So I think we talked about him a tiny bit last time I was on the show, and I didn't know much about him, but I see him now. He's a lot like a lot of these receivers in this draft that are big and they're fast and they can make plays. And if you have him getting the ball thrown to him by Deshaun Watson, he's going to have one of those rookie seasons that we're going to be like, wow, that's a great rookie season. That, could be rookie of the year. At 99, that's tremendous value again for a guy like that. There's so many receivers in this class. And like I said, a lot of them are one and the same in a sense of what they bring to the table. Some of them are obviously better than others, and that's why some of them are going to go in the first round. But I would love this pick here too. Any of the first 3 picks, as long as we, if we move up or down, whatever we do, I hope it's wide receiver and then edge and defensive line, just like how this goes. So if we wait until 99 to get one of the receivers, there's still a plethora of guys that we can get even after that, which is crazy to think about. But I would love this pick at 99.
All right, so let's take a look. This is from the Bleacher Report. 2022 draft highlighting last-minute fallers down the big board. And there are a couple of names to keep an ear out for. David Bell, wide receiver from Purdue, was ranked as the 51st overall prospect in the post-Senior Bowl big board. Ran a disappointing 4.65 at the Combine that could have him falling even further down the draft. And gosh, that's a guy, if he somehow falls 78 or even lower, you got to believe Andrew Berry would like. Another one that we're looking at, Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle for Georgia. 2020 was arrested for family violence, trespassing, property damage. So he no longer appears to be the first-round lock that he was in the draft process. So again, that's going to depend on, you know, the due diligence from individual teams and what they have found. What do you think of Bell and Wyatt and how they may fit if they're there at 44 or even a little bit lower, 78 in the case of Bell?
Oh, both of those guys. I would take either of them at 44, honestly. No matter if it's Bell or Wyatt. We talked about Wyatt a little bit last time I was on this show. He's one of those defensive linemen that you can interchange with him, Travis Jones, Perrion Winfrey. Either one of those three, if they're available at 44 and that's the direction they want to go, I would certainly not be mad at that whatsoever. The off-the-field issues of Wyatt, that I don't know too much about that. That's actually the first I've heard about that. And that happens a lot this time of year for the draft. You know, well, this guy is going to fall because, you know, in 2020 he got arrested for this, or he was involved in this incident or that incident. He had some baggage. NFL GMs know this. They know everything about all these players they're going to draft in a day or two or three or whatever. But Bell is another one of those receivers in this class that you can, you know, mix and match with whoever, and it's like, oh wow, like this is tremendous value no matter where we get him. If we can, if Bell fell to 78 somehow, that would be fantastic. But I would not be mad at Andrew Berry if he took either one of these players at 44. And I would, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I trust in Andrew Berry. Well, I trust in him, you know, wholeheartedly. So if he took one of these players, I'm on board. Sign me all the way up.
All right, as always, great stuff. Eddie McDonald, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Eddie.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, Eddie McDonald, make sure you read him. Dog Pound Daily has a mock draft or his thoughts on some guys dropping pretty quickly here on Dog Pound Daily. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It is the first round of the NFL Draft. We will have Quincy Carrier and Casey Kinnaman on Sports for CLE tomorrow, 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody.